Hello orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today I want to use this video to give you an update on the 5 Phalaenopsis mini mark that I have in my collection and how they're doing and the care that I give for them. Out of the 5, there's only one that hasn't bloomed yet, but all of them are already mature plant. And the picture you see here is the bloom that I got this year, earlier this year. And in case you missed that video, I am going to attach the original blooming video footage at the end of this video so that you can easily take a look at it without having to go back to my channel and search for that particular video. Without further ado, let's look at the first mini mark that I have. So this one is potted in manto clay and hydrocorn, and as you can see, it's growing a new leaf, and the latest mature leaf is pretty large, much larger than the other leaves. So I know this one is happy, and it's growing a root as well. So that's pretty good. It's a good sign that it's doing well. This orchid is grown in semi-hydro method, and you can see here lots of roots have already grown to the very bottom, and I usually only water when there is no more moisture that I can see, so that usually takes about 7 to 10 days in summertime and about 2 weeks in winter. I use an 8-ounce double cup method and then put it into a 16-ounce cup to elevate it. And here's the second mini mark. It's growing a new leaf, but the previous leaf is a little small and it actually came out a little bit damaged. I don't know what happened there, but it's okay. I left it alone. I didn't do too much with it. It's growing roots, and this one is kind of a hybrid growing method. So the inner cup has holes at the bottom, but I still put it into an 8-ounce plastic cup. So if I decide to let some water sit at the very bottom, then it becomes a modified semi-hydro method. And it's doing really well because that's usually what I do with it. Occasionally, if I want to give this orchid roots a break, I may dump up the water, but primarily I grow this one in semi-hydro method as well. And look at the roots. It's pretty happy, I think. And the third one here, this one is also growing a new leaf, which is good. But this one, at a first glance, you kind of feel that the roots isn't doing so good, because it only has maybe 3 roots that you can see from on top of the media. But if you look into look at the sides and into the media, it actually has grown into the media, and it reached the bottom. So this one, again, because it has holes, so if I want to, I can keep it as a traditional potted method. But then because I double cup it, so if I decide to leave some water at the bottom to allow some wicking, then it becomes a modified semi-hydro system. And so far, I think this orchid likes it. And this is the next orchid. It's also growing a leaf in the middle, but the previous leaf is also pretty big, so I know this orchid is happy. It has 2 pretty good area roots, but primarily I'm mostly impressed by the roots in the media. This one is also grown in semi-hydro. As you can see here, at the time of the video, there was some water in the reservoir, but the roots have already reached the bottom, and there are quite a few new roots growing into the media and come to the sides, so it's easy to see. And the reason the roots are white is because I use an outer cup to reduce sunlight, so that way I can avoid algae formation. And because of that, roots aren't in direct contact with sunlight, so the roots color is in white or yellow because there isn't much photosynthesis. And the next one here, this one is the one that bloomed earlier this year. It only has 2 leaves, but these 2 leaves are quite large and the roots are growing, so I can't really tell if it's actually stressed, especially if you look at the roots. It's doing pretty well, so I think I'm just gonna continue with my typical regular care for this orchid and hope that it'll give me more leaf soon, because looking at a 2-leaf orchid sometimes doesn't feel all that great, because I think that this type of, because the mini marks that I have seen online, they all have multiple leaves. So this one had me worried for a little bit, but the fact that it has roots, good root system, and the leaves are looking pretty healthy and hydrated, I think I just need to give it more time for it to want to produce a new leaf. So overall, I think this year's growth for these 5 mini marks is pretty good. They're all growing new leaves and lots of roots, and some of the roots are already reaching the bottom of the semi-hydro cups. So I think I'm just gonna continue with what I've been doing with these 5 mini marks. And overall, I think I'm pretty pleased with the results. I know that they are all in, you can see that they're all potted in organic media. But then how I potted them is slightly different from plant to plant. And at the time, I was really trying to explore a different method, whether it's like a traditional potted / modified semi-hydro setup or full true semi-hydro setup. I was just trying to playing with it. And I think once these roots are more established and have more leaves, once these plants are more matured, I think for next spring, I will transfer the 3 that are in smaller cups into a regular 16-ounce cup that you see with the 2 in the back, right? So in other words, I want to use taller cups to allow the roots to grow deeper into the media. And I think next time when I repot them, I will give them more hydrocorn, so that way they have more air bubbles in between medias for the roots to grow. And anyway, here is the footage from earlier this year that I promised you at the beginning of the video. This orchid has fragrance, but sometimes it's not very strong, so you do have to put your nose close to the flower to smell it, but sometimes it is kind of strong. So I think it just really depends on the ventilation and also the time of day. But overall, I think this orchid is charming because of its size. It never gets too big because it's a miniature type orchid, but I also love the dots on the white flower and then its orange, dark orange lip. I really think that this is a very interesting hybrid, and it's just too bad that it's not readily available everywhere. So to me, this is it's kind of like a novelty orchid. But I'm lucky that I have 5, so I will carefully care for these 5 orchids, and hopefully this coming autumn or winter will be good enough for them to spike, so that way in the near future we will be able to see these 5 mini marks bloom for us. And before we close this video, I just want to share that I usually give my orchids water once a week, 7 to 10 days depending on the season, and in winter time it's usually about every 2 weeks. And I use reverse osmosis water, so it doesn't have any total dissolved solid in there. But then again, the pure water really means that it doesn't have any mineral or nutrients, so you do need to supplement it with fertilizer. And the fertilizer strength that I use is quarter strength, so only about 25% of its recommended concentration or dosage. And I give fertilizer every other watering. So in winter time, if each watering cycle is about 2 weeks. So if it's every other watering that I fertilize, so that really means that I only these orchids, certain orchids of mine, would only receive fertilizer once a month or so. But overall, they seem to be doing okay. So I think that's the care I'm gonna continue to give to these and see how they fare this year. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!